It's so great to see you.
Hi, Michaela.
Would you mind starting us off with sharing a little bit about yourself, maybe where you're from and what you do, some things that you enjoy?
Yes. I was born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I'm a pretty outdoorsy person. I love hiking, camping. I love traveling and road trips. I am a student right now. I don't have a job, but I'm a student pursuing pre-med. With my like biological anthropology degree. And pre-med, it's pretty strenuous and stuff, but I feel pretty confident that I'm going to do it now. I'm technically like a non-traditional pre-med student, so I feel very confident in pursuing that now after my whole experience with this program.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear that you've like built so much confidence throughout this process.
Yes, it's been really relieving. It's been like a breath of fresh air.
Oh, that gives me goosebumps. Would you mind sharing a little bit about what was going on in your life or like your health that made you realize that something needed to change?
Yeah, so I honestly, not trying to sound dramatic, I was struggling in like every facet of my life. Like physically and mentally. I was struggling with like the constant rebound of overeating and then dieting. And honestly, I could never get anything to last more than like a week to 3 weeks. And for some reason 3 weeks was always my cutoff. But and I stepped on the scale one day, and I just been gradually watching my weight go up since COVID. And I stepped on the scale, and I'd been telling myself for a long time, like, oh, if I reach this certain weight, I'm gonna change. Like, I'm going to change everything. And then I reached that weight, nothing.
Mhm.
And the scale kept going up, and I kept getting more miserable. I started going to UNM. Previously, I was doing mostly online through CNM, and so started going to UNM and had to be in person and stuff. And I think the biggest thing was walking around campus
Mhm.
and being so exhausted, um walking around campus and like napping all the time because of my poor nutrition, just not getting enough nutrients and stuff. And like my feet hurt so much, my knees were hurting, my clothes stopped fitting me. And so I was spending money on clothes all the time. Like I was spending a lot of money on fast food because I just like didn't have the energy to cook. And so it was like a weird like catch 22 of like I didn't have enough energy to cook and didn't have enough energy or like didn't know how to get myself out of this rut. But I knew I would feel better and my life would improve if I got myself out of that rut. So I don't know if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I was just like generally like miserable, insecure. I used to lift weights and was like kind of like a bodybuilder when I was a teenager and into my early 20s. And I just always constantly beat myself up for letting that go after COVID. And so, yeah, it was just honestly like a miserable experience of just the guilt and the shame of the dieting and not being able to lose weight, the yo-yo dieting. And so, yeah, it was a lot.
It makes a ton of sense, and I relate a lot. And I mean, I think you already know this, that I relate a lot to like how you said that you knew like something needed to change, but then nothing changed. And I think a lot of it is like not knowing what to change because there is a lot of misinformation out there. And
Yes. And there's so many steps too, like it's hard to stick with just one habit because it's like for example, I had this weird notion of like, oh, if I'm gonna have a morning routine, then I have to get up at 5 a.m. I have to eat this certain way. I have to make smoothies. If I go to the gym, I have to go 5 times a week. And it was like I would set these crazy barriers for myself and these crazy, high expectations, and then I would fail. And
mm,
especially because that's how I used to be when I was younger. And so, yeah, I set these high expectations and then I would fail and I just couldn't get myself out of this like spiral. It was debilitating.
That's so interesting. I don't think I have heard that piece of your story because I know we talked a lot about like a night routine and a morning routine and like kind of like making it fun and doable for yourself. So like I even because still I'll get into like this mind space of like I need to do everything, but then
Yeah.
it just
Exactly. It's like, especially as like me wanting to pursue pre-med, because people I do know that have gone to med school in my life are very like they're on top of everything. They're fit, they're healthy, they eat good, they're straight A students, and it's, absolutely like discouraging to be like, "Oh, I don't have a lot of those parts of myself." And, and then it's just like adds to that whole layer of guilt, like the wall of shame kind of thing where it just feels impossible to overcome.
totally. I mean, just for anybody watching, just I think right now at this point, like you haven't been perfect and you've still what I think you've now lost like 20 pounds maybe so far.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
how does it feel to know like you don't have to do all of these like impossible things? Like you can come from an approach of like, I want to do what makes me feel good.
I feel amazing. I feel like I feel like I'm living my life to the fullest, honestly, because I had suffered from like binge eating disorder and overeating for so long that it was just a constant cycle of shame and guilt. And there's a lot of societal pressure, especially on women, that we have to be skinny, that we have to be on top of our health. And like even pressure from my, people I know of like, oh, like, just yeah, just a lot of pressure on women in general to kind of keep that physique. And so just kind of navigating that and being able to overcome that of, like I don't want to do this just to be skinny. I want to do this to feel good. I want to do this to feel strong, and pull myself out of this rut because it was affecting so many things in my life, not just like my health. Like I felt it mentally, like I was struggling in school more because I just, so many mental barriers to this. And so, yeah, I feel so much better. I feel free, honestly. I feel free.
That I mean, because I feel like certain areas of our life translate to other areas. So it's like if you feel incapable here, then it's gonna be like, wait, like, do I feel
It'll
like
stack
people?
up.
Yeah,
Yes, stack on
but
top.
like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh,
interrupt.
no, no, you're
Oh,
fine. You're fine. I was agreeing with you.
I was gonna say, but like last semester, what you got all A's and like you're just fucking crushing it because it works the other way around, right? Like the bad can spread, but then the good can spread to other areas too.
Yes. And I've been feeling that like even in this program, like when I mentioned introducing myself, I was unsure if I wanted to pursue med school. And since this program, I have just felt so much more confident to pursue med school, or just any higher education afterwards that will improve my life and, where I don't feel as weighed down, literally and mentally, just being able to be like, oh, I can instill good habits. This can translate into other factors of my life.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. I'm curious, like before joining, why? Because like I feel like everybody has their doubts, right? Like what were there any reasons that you thought that this wouldn't work? Like can you just talk a little bit about like what you tried and what you were hesitant or unsure about before starting?
Let's see. I'll start with like what I tried in the past. I tried like MyFitnessPal, and I was really strict on myself with calories. Like when I was in high school, I was only eating like 12 to 1500 calories a day and working out, like lifting heavy. And so I think that's when it really started when I really started to go downhill with my binge eating because I was starving. I was starving myself and my body was telling me you need to eat. And I was like, geez, this isn't working. And then I tried exercise programs, like I joined a HIIT kickboxing class, and that was a lot of fun, but then my binge eating got in the way of that because it's hard to do hits or like exercise heavily when you're full all the time because you're eating so
Mhm.
much. And then I tried like the Train Well, it used to be Copilot exercise app, and that helped for a while. But the biggest portion for me was the nutrition. Like it was the biggest part. Like I loved exercising. Love exercising. I was totally okay with going to the gym, but just the nutrition factor was holding me back. And then I started seeing a nutritionist counselor through my insurance. And it was also just it just felt like it just wasn't working. It wasn't working. Like we were trying to get like deep-seated, you know, stuff from the past, but it's like, no, like my present isn't working. Like we need to fix stuff now. And that's where I really appreciate like the coaching factor of the program because you focus on what can we do right now. Like don't worry about what happened in the past.
Mhm.
Let's focus on right now. Um, and for the portion of like why I was worried this wasn't gonna work, um, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to commit and that I wouldn't have been able to pull through and do it. But it was just a wonderful fit and I felt supported. Like even, there were days where I was like, I hope I'm not bugging Michaela. And I never was. I never was. The only thing that was successful, which was a long time ago, was like my weightlifting. But I also started yo-yo dieting, and that was successful, but with the caveat of severe binge eating disorder, like from constantly restricting myself. And, I don't think people were meant to always starve themselves. I think it makes us a little bit ravenous, and that's how I felt to a degree. So yeah, definitely like yo-yo dieting. I was a vegetarian for a while and then I was a vegan. That was mostly for other personal reasons, but I wanted the health benefits to also roll into that. And it didn't matter how much I exercised, like I wasn't losing weight, I wasn't seeing results, and it was because I was not focusing on the big problem. Like I think you and I've talked about, like nutrition is what, like 70 to 80% of like staying healthy and losing weight and gaining muscle and stuff. So then I started seeing a nutritionist and I would only see him once a month and he was so rude to me. He was basically just like, "Oh, it's so easy. Just start doing this. Just start doing that. Just walk 3 miles every day." And as someone who's stuck in a rut, as someone who is spiraling, that is not easy to hear. And it adds to that shame of like, oh, it's so easy. Like, I don't understand why you're not doing this already. It's so obvious. Um,
And
yeah, and then yeah.
oh,
Oh, go
sorry. I just wanted to bring something up because I feel like, I mean, I relate to this, and I think a lot of people relate to it. Earlier, you said that like you were doing yo-yo diets and that they were successful. And I feel like it's like we perceive diets as successful because like they'll work for a little bit of time, but
yeah.
then like you can't stick with them. So it's like, is it really successful? I know that because I did keto a couple times and I was like,
Yes.
this works for me, but like, does it really work for you if every time you like want to eat something that you actually like that you can't, or like you binge
Yeah.
every time, like you it
In my Yeah, and in like my human biology classes, they're really emphasizing how bad dieting is for you because it puts you in a state of like ravenous hunger. Like we were not meant to, we've only recently come into terms with like an overabundance in food. And so even now, if we restrict ourselves, our body's telling us like, oh, you're starving, like it's over, there's a famine. So like doing that can really harm like your, hormones, and you and I have talked a lot about
Yeah.
this, and your body holds on to fat.
I think too something that's really cool that I think like the viewer might like to hear is that we didn't have like a limit for your calories, that we just had a okay, we need to eat this much by this point in the day so that later on you like it's easier to not overeat because you are
Yes, like making
uh
eating breakfast and eating lunch, because I would frequently because I would frequently skip meals, and then at the end of the day I would be like starving, and I would be like, okay, I don't have any energy because I wasn't eating. I don't have any energy from walking around campus all day, and then I would just order fast food, and or like a microwave meal. And I mean, we all know how that can make us feel if we eat too much of it.
Yeah, yeah. And then it feels like you're failing too because you're like, well, these people are saying to not eat carbs or to only eat like what, like 1,300 calories, and I can't do that. And then it becomes like where you're blaming yourself when really it's like you should be eating more. Like you shouldn't be.
Yeah, and especially like the whole idea with your program of like eating the things you love, and the like, I'm sure you'll talk more about this with like each client, like the ability to add more food to it, and the addition, was like a game changer of like, oh, adding stuff, adding certain nutrients, adding certain macros has really improved my hunger levels and has really helped me, you know, keep on my nutritional goals. So yes, I think the whole thing of adding was like a huge mental, game changer.
I noticed like a big thing for you too was like whenever we were talking about like journaling your food intake, right? Because at the start, we were working on like mostly improving your relationship with food so that tracking your food felt better for you.
Yes.
My perception of it was like whenever I told you like to journal whether you liked something or not, like if you enjoyed it or not, I feel like that like uh, the way I perceived it was that like really helped you because then you started telling me like I paid attention to whether I liked something or not, and then I didn't eat it all because I didn't even like it.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh,
And that's when something like started to click. Was yeah, when we like when I first started the program, we immediately started adding these, you know, changes where I was like, dang, you're right. Like after a couple weeks of tracking my food, and it wasn't even tracking like calories or macros or anything, it was just doing like a food journal of being like, oh, I ate this and it gave me heartburn. I ate this and it made me bloated. I felt really like bad after eating this. And it wasn't necessarily like felt bad mentally like because of dieting, but it was like physiologically like I was feeling bad. I could feel my body was like hurting and in pain if I ate certain foods. And so being able to be like, okay, I love fries, but if I get a large fry and, all these other sides and like a hamburger, and then I would take one of my favorite foods and I would ruin it for myself, and I would make it where it's like I had to eat it all. And that's kind of like the where the binging comes in, where like, oh, I have to eat it all. It's in front of me. I got to get rid of it kind of thing. And
you feel
I
bad.
would start to hate my favorite foods, because it's, I'm like, dang, like, and just learning from you, it's just moderation, something that like I knew I needed to do, but I just didn't know how.
Yeah. And I think like sorry, I interrupted you earlier,
Oh, no,
but I don't know how the audio went through because like you had said that uh one second, hold on. Let me my dog's barking. One second.
oh yeah, no, you're right.
Chip, what are you doing? Oh, you gotta be good, Chip. Yeah, you gotta be good. Let's see. I was thinking about what you said because you were like, oh, whenever I notice that I am binging, a lot of the times I'll be like having to tell myself it's not bad to have this food. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to just eat it all because like you're ashamed and you're thinking that you're never gonna eat it again.
Yeah, and like the Last Supper effect that you talked about of like, oh, I'm gonna start Monday and so I'm gonna binge eat the weekend. And it was just a constant cycle of that of just starting Monday, like the, stereotypical dieting thing of like, oh, I'm gonna start Monday, I'm gonna start tomorrow, and then you start and then you're restricting yourself and I'm not eating the foods that I love, and I'm only eating like salads and stuff that grosses me out. And so, and so it was hard, it would be really like, detrimental because yeah, like progress won't last if you don't do it in the way you love.
Absolutely. And I think too, it makes you like, because I mean, I like salad, but I feel like for a while, whenever I was caught into that dieting mindset, I didn't like salad because it felt like I was having to eat it, like I was being forced to eat it,
Yeah.
whereas these other foods were like off limits and naturally, and we've talked about this a lot, that when you tell yourself that you can't have something, you're gonna want it more. So
Yes, exactly. Like the, starvation mindset. Yeah. Weird psychological stuff.
there's a lot of studies on it. It's like just
Yeah.
little kids. Like I feel like it's very important to let people eat what they want to eat because naturally we're gonna gravitate to the stuff that makes us feel good.
Yes.
Okay. So I feel like it'd be interesting too if there's anything like where any points in the program where you had any doubts. Like I'm curious about those, like any points where it was like, oh, this makes sense, or points where you were like, I'm not too sure about this.
Circling back to what I said of just yeah, like tracking the food at first was very helpful of just understanding like what foods were making me feel bad, and also that at the same time removed the guilt that I was having around certain foods. Because we were able to work through that of like, I know, like you would kind of be like, I know you like this food. How about you, like eat it with certain other types of foods so that it feels better when you digest it, drink water with it. Um, so that was very helpful. I think the thing that clicked for me the most, it's silly and it's stuff that you hear all the time. And like I heard it from my nutritionist, but like having you there to remind me and to help me work through like the cognitive dissonance of all of this was drink your water. Drink your water. Like I barely drank water before and helped so much. And then the fiber intake was a big one for me because I knew it was important, but because I wasn't consuming fiber in the way that was beneficial alongside water, I was like scared of fiber. Like I was like worried it was like hurting me. Like I would kind of avoid a lot of it sometimes. So that, and then yeah, definitely like the protein thing. Because like I have heard that like my mom does keto. It works for her really well, but it always left me feeling starving. And so just the balancing of like paying attention to the macros was just that it clicked and it felt good. And then what was the last part? Oh, the doubts throughout the program.
Yeah, and I think too, like what you mentioned, because like I could remember whenever, like, I remember you reaching out to me and being worried about, like, am I eating too much fiber? Am I eating too much protein? And
Yeah,
so I'm like, I don't know if that was like something that stands out to you as like a doubt where you were like, oh, I don't know. You want to
yeah.
talk?
That's funny that you said that because I actually forgot about this. But yes, yeah, I was worried for a while that I was eating too much fiber because I wasn't drinking enough water. And so it wasn't like like I was feeling bloated, like, and then
Digestion wasn't smooth.
another, yeah, another big doubt too was kind of underestimating myself. Like not, I don't know if that aligns with the question, but just the doubts always came back onto me of oh, like I don't know if I could do this, like this just seems like a lot. But in the end, it was totally worth it. Absolutely worth it. And it has helped in so many other caveats of my life. And so, yeah, I think the biggest doubts were definitely like over the holidays, it was difficult. It was hard to kind of work on that kind of stuff. And when I wasn't in school, because I didn't have a routine, but we were able to work through that and kind of get my mindset into a better place because I tend to be negative. I tend to have like a negative mindset, and you definitely helped push that to a more positive mindset. So
I'm curious because, like, I feel like, I mean, I struggle with like self-doubt too. Is there anything specific that was like, oh, like this makes me feel like I can do this? Like,
perhaps just the repetition of like just your constant support of just being reminded of like you can do it. I know you had trouble with this kind of stuff in the past, but you were completely capable of doing it. And like you and I would work through when I had really bad mental health days, and you would be like, okay, put little stickers around the house. And like I still have some of little notes of like I feel my best when I complete tasks that need to be completed. Everything is going to be all right. And it was like little stuff that makes sense to do, but I just didn't have like the mental capacity and the support to do it previously. And yeah, just having your constant support
oh,
of kind of, yeah, pushing me into that and just constantly being supportive. Because another thing too in my own life is that I feel there's a lot of people who kind of doubted this whole process or my capability of doing it, or kind of don't understand this process. So there was a lot of people who weren't supporting me. Like every time I would try to exercise and lose weight, and like I would want to go to the gym with people, or try something new, like try a new exercise class, and I just never had that support. And I know that our culture is focused on being as independent as possible in kind of Western societies, but I don't know, I think the community that within Lindy and that you have, created helped so much. I think that's what people, stop beating yourself up over this kind of stuff. It's okay to ask for help.
yeah, and feeling like you're not alone too in it is like,
Yeah.
I think because we had some group calls where like I feel like that was the kind of the theme. You all said that it would be helpful to hear about other people's struggles too, so that like
Yes.
we don't want to just hear about everybody's wins. We want to be able to relate to each other and support each other through like the struggles.
Exactly, especially because everything is so filtered online,
Yeah.
like edited and filtered, and just being able to be like raw and truthful, and being able to be like, I was struggling really hard with this, and having people relate with that, and having you also relate with that because you have had your own, health journey.
Oh. Because I wanted to just something that you said too earlier, like about the fiber and like adding certain foods. I was wondering if you could share a little bit more about like kind of because you mentioned to me that you've heard people tell you like you need fiber or you need vegetables, but you said that with my program that you learned how to actually like add them in. And so I'm curious if you could like share a little bit about what you have learned that has helped you to add those vegetables and fiber and protein in.
Yeah, so I think it was kind of like a domino effect. So first of all, you helped me find recipes that I liked, like we made a list of the foods I like and the recipes that I enjoy. And so that was a nice Kickstarter. And then also feeling it for myself, like kind of going back to when I first started the program and when I was doing the food journal, where I wouldn't eat vegetables and I wouldn't eat fiber and I wouldn't eat a lot of protein, and being able to reflect on that at the end of the day or the end of the week and be like, oh, I see on these days that because I didn't eat this type of food that day, because I didn't meet my macros that day, I felt awful. And
Mm.
kind of being able to make those connections and having you as support to help me understand that whole process and understand why my body's reacting that way to like sodium levels and me not drinking enough, and then gradually introducing recipes that have more vegetables and being able to be like, oh, if I add a zucchini to this, or if I add a can of beans, like I I can eat so much more because it's such like so nutritionally dense. And that is my favorite thing, that I'm able to make like a big pot of stew and I could have two huge bowls of it and it'll only be like 600 calories because there's so much food, it's so nutritionally dense. And so that was like a really big milestone for me.
It's like really cool to see. Well, first off, I want to say that I really appreciate how much like you leaned in to Lindy because you asked me so many great questions and you also went out there and tried new foods and tried new recipes. Like you were very receptive of like ideas, right? That I like was like, well, maybe you could try this, you know? Like I don't know if it'll work, but maybe it will. And like I feel like every time you tried it and you gave me feedback, which I really appreciate. That like makes my job so much easier.
I'm
So,
glad you like that. Yeah, I again, I was the doubts I had in the program was just me of being like, oh gosh, like, am I doing enough? Am I doing this right? And you were always like, yes, girl, you're getting it. You're on top of it. You're also helping me, like, and I love helping people. So
yeah, it works out so good. I'm curious what felt different versus what you tried in the past to like what you did in my program.
having your program be so, is encompassing the right word? Like just
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
like it helped with so many things of weight loss, of nutrition and health. And like I said in the past, like I only joined exercise programs or I went through nutrition stuff through my insurance. And I mean, if you live in New Mexico, it's hard to get in with health providers. And so just having like little scraps, bits and pieces, and then also, like you were talking about, all the misinformation online and the overwhelming amount of correct information online, and just you being able to be like, this is what has been proven. Here are these studies, because, you're a scientist, I'm a scientist, just being able to be like, this is what has been proven. This is what factually works. This is what I have learned, and you being able to kind of filter all the noise and also bring community with it and being able to really, yeah, like encompassing, I'm sure there's a better word for it, but I think you
I
get it.
think that's a good like
Like well-rounded.
holistic, I feel like is another word for like just yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think encompassing is a good word for it. I think it's really important and I think it's awesome to hear that you are recognizing patterns within yourself about what makes you feel good. I think a really cool pattern too that you recognized was with drinking that you were like, wait, that doesn't feel good. Uh,
Yes. I that is definitely the biggest thing, was being able to recognize that certain foods just weren't making me feel good, no matter how much as I was in denial of like, oh, well, this says it's healthy.
mm,
This is only this many calories, and that, and then yeah, with drinking, like this program also helped me kind of reflect on my drinking habits and realize that it wasn't helping me with my health goals and amongst other things. And so being able to look at that as well in my life and being like, that I don't want that in my life. I'm 56 days sober, I think. So I know yeah, so that was also very beneficial. I think patterns of, yeah, kind of like what I talked about, like when I add vegetables. I've noticed recently something I've been trying to track is like my sodium levels because I notice how sodium really makes me feel if I eat too much of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the emotional eating, I have been able to kind of deter the emotional eating because I've been able to take steps to, like when I exercise more, I feel more emotionally stable. So it's kind
Yeah.
of been balancing out. And when I eat good, I feel more emotionally stable.
I
And
love that.
yes,
Like we talked about how emotional eating isn't bad. It's that we need other areas that are also going to like relieve or like, fill in the cravings that these emotional eating cravings are bringing.
yes, exactly. Yeah. And that was a big pattern. That honestly a lot of stuff that I was just in denial about, of
Mm.
like eating food and just numbing myself. I at some point it was just I was eating food to numb.
You've made so much progress, and I think it's so cool because I don't know, sometimes it's like the work that you do outside of our sessions and check-ins that like solidifies things. So like I didn't even know really that much about you quitting drinking. You just did it, and I was like, okay, like let's fucking
You're like, yeah,
go.
I did it.
And then even whenever you were like, I think I am gonna do pre-med, I was like, oh hell yeah.
I know I remember that call when I told you when I wanted to pursue pre-med because it's been on my mind for years. And you were like you were no longer going to say maybe I'm pursuing it. You're going to say I am pursuing it. And that helped a lot. I've been telling that to myself. So yeah, that was helpful.
Oh, I'm glad. Okay, so I think going along with that, because I feel like that's a big identity shift that you went through of like, I can do this now. How do you see yourself differently from like the beginning of the program to now?
I would say beginning of the program, not again, not to be all dramatic, but like I was like scared. I was confused, exhausted. I think as women, we just take on so much of trying to keep up with societal standards and trying to run around and do so much work and cook and clean and all this stuff. And so just being absolutely exhausted with stuff not working out and being scared about my health, being scared about my future, doubtful and insecure. And now I can say I feel so much more confident. I feel more positive that I feel things are going to work out no matter what. And I feel more mature.
Hmm?
Like I finally feel like, the adult that I've wanted to be for years. And yeah, I so I had always been interested in nutrition and health. And I think it's kind of like those that thing where people want to become therapists because they're like, I don't understand what's going on in my own head kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I'd always been so interested in it. And now I understand what's going on and I feel healthy. I feel more confident to take this forward and like teach my kids when I have kids on how to be healthy and like encourage other people in my life to take on this journey as well. So yeah, it's such a crazy difference, 4 months
Oh my gosh, that's what I was thinking too. Because you said it's been years that you've been wanting to make these changes, and then I don't
within 4 months. Yeah, exactly. Like it's kind of a crazy thing of like, geez, I've been wanting to change since COVID. Oh, geez, what is that?
like at least 3 years. What was COVID 2020 or something? 5 year or was it
Six years.
20? Oh,
6 years times 12.
getting the months. Such a scientist, making sure the units match up.
So like 5% of the 6 years, 4 months, I think. I don't know. That sounds right, right?
I,
5% of the 6 years that I wanted to change. All it took was these 4 months, 5% for like such a drastic change. So,
that makes me so happy and excited and it is so cool to see like how far you've come and I can't wait to just keep seeing like your progress.
I'm
Um,
excited to share it.
if you could talk to the version of yourself 4 months ago, what would you tell her?
I would tell her it's worth it. It's okay. It's going to work out. You are stronger than you think. You have so much more support than you think, and this will be a life-changing experience that you have been waiting for years.
I think whenever I asked you that question, because I asked you a similar question, right, at one of our check-ins, and you said that you would tell yourself that food isn't the enemy. I
Yes. I probably didn't say that because I don't feel that anymore, that food is not, it's not even on my mind that food could be an enemy. So,
let's fucking go.
yeah.
Oh, Tristan. Ah, I really appreciate you sharing your story and just like the the whole time coaching you was so fun for me